Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our February 19th, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including some of the rumours and things going on around about the Superman movie, or lack thereof. We're going to be talking about the latest Supergirl episode and the DC solicitations, some interesting stuff coming out in those. We'll also be opening the lines to talk to you and ask your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, since WGBS is live, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube. Welcome, YouTubers. Please be gentle in the comments. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which this week it looks like we got a lot to talk about, we will start taking calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Get on Skype, find the Superman homepage, and message that you'd like to join us. Wait for us to reply. This is kind of important, because if you try to call us in the middle of it, it could screw things up, and we'll try to get you on the show. If you do get on the show, please turn down whatever speakers you may be using, if you're not using like earbuds or headphones or whatever, because there is a bit of delay, because Steve doesn't trust me.
It's not that at all, Michael. I don't trust the callers.
Well, we had some issues with that, haven't we?
We have in the past, and some of them have been celebrities.
Yes.
Jeff East, not mentioning any names. But yes, we do have a lot on the docket tonight, and as always, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you are tuning in via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in, post in the comments, let us know what you're thinking, what any questions you might have. And Michael and I will keep an eye on those comments throughout the show, so we'll get to your reactions as we continue through these topics. And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Doug Meacham. We appreciate your support. All right, well, let's get into tonight's topics. And as we normally do, we like to start with movie news. And Forbes.com published an interesting article updating us on the slate of movies coming out from Warner Brothers as far as DC Comics superhero movies are concerned over the next year or so. And the part about Superman was quite interesting, because pretty much there's a lot of been rumours around circling around about the Superman movie, or lack thereof. They've been a little bit exaggerated as far as what's happening. There is no cameo as far as the Forbes article is concerned. As far as the Shazam movie is concerned, Henry Cavill did not secretly film some kind of cameo for that, which I guess will remain to be seen when the movie comes out in a couple of months. But at the moment, there was also a rumour about James Gunn having been offered Superman as a property to produce or to make a film out of, and that seems to be fake as well. So really at the moment there's nothing happening. Superman is on the table if anyone wants to pick it up, but Warner Brothers don't actively have anything in the pipeline for Superman, because they're concentrating on the announced Supergirl movie and want to let her have the limelight for a while on the big screen.
Yes, we are here to definitively report that there is nothing to definitively to report.
That's right.
I guess is the best way to say it. And the funny thing is that this comes out in a Forbes article, and Forbes really has kind of a love-hate relationship with comic book movies, it seems. It's like sometimes they're really, really glowing pieces, and sometimes they're kind of almost hit pieces against the various DC films and the production woes and everything like that. I guess the only thing we can really say here is we're exactly where we were last week and the week before. We are where we were back like a year after Superman Returns came out, when we didn't know what was going on, and we had to wait for an extremely long time and go through rumor mills and a Justice League movie that never happened. The only thing that makes me feel better is that Batman fans are now going through this again, because Ben Affleck has definitively said he's not coming back as Batman.
Yeah, that's right.
And Zack Snyder delivered a eulogy on that on social media today, and now Armie Hammer is apparently the lead contender in the rumor mill for getting to play Batman, which would make sense since he was already cast as the character. But it's just kind of funny that we now live in a world where Aquaman is definitely getting a sequel, Wonder Woman's sequel is being filmed, there's a Shazam movie, but no definitive Superman and a Batman film, but nobody's playing Batman yet, and there isn't a Superman movie coming.
But there is a Superman actor.
Yes, but there is a Superman actor. Maybe.
Yes, well, look, if you are a big-time movie director and you have a script in mind, then pitch it, because it seems like they're open to it. There's just nothing in the plans at the moment, and I guess that means there is really nothing that we will see as far as Superman on the big screen for a number of years.
Yeah, and maybe that's for the best. I'm gonna take the devil's advocate position on this, because it seems like most of Superman fandom wants a Superman movie now. You know, every day it seems, when I'm on Twitter, when I'm scrolling through and ignoring, you know, the Comicsgate people who need to be ignored. It's somebody going, give Henry Cavill a movie, you know, Warner Brothers, get your head out of your rectum and, you know, get a Superman movie going and all that. And maybe, you know, Henry's still kind of a young guy, so it's not like he's going to age out of the role anytime soon. Maybe give it a few years. Maybe let things lie down. Maybe let the kind of stink of BVS, and when I say that, I'm not saying that the film is necessarily bad, though I hate it. What I'm saying is the vitriol that is surrounding these movies, maybe let that kind of lie down, and then people aren't going to forget it, let's face it, but allow that to go away so that when the next Superman film comes out, it can be treated like the event it needs to be. Yeah,
exactly. So I guess it's a watch this space, and try to take every rumour you read on the internet with a grain of salt. It might taste better. All right. Well, the other rumour, there was a rumour going on around about Michael B. Jordan being cast or being looked at to play Superman, and there's a whole topic of, you know, discussion that can go on there. He was on with Oprah recently and spoke to her about the rumour mill, about him playing Superman, and had a very interesting comment. I'll play that for you right now so you can see what he had to say. I'm just going to skip to the important part.
Okay, yeah. I heard
Superman. I would rather do something original.
Really?
But
the chance to be Superman,
I mean, it's cool.
In your skin.
I'll be Calvin Ellis. You know, there's another version of Superman that from Earth 23. I'm a comic book guy.
Okay.
You know, so Calvin Ellis is like, you know, Earth 23.
I don't know who you're talking about, but
so
okay.
So
and I just had a little moment where I'm like, am I going to act like I know what he's saying? Or do I just do that little kind of, oh yeah, Calvin, oh yeah, oh yeah.
There's another version of Superman in another dimension that is black already in the comic books that exist, and I think the comic book, you know, purists can accept that more than me being, you know, Clark Kent from Kansas. And
yeah. So there you have it. There's just the part of him just talking about, look, you know, it'd be interesting to play Superman, but obviously, you know, there would be a lot of scrutiny about that, and I think it would be better if I played Calvin Ellis, who is an existing character who is from a different Earth, and would probably be more fitting for me to play that version of Superman rather than the Clark Kent from Smallville, Kansas. And I think that's a very brave and, you know, politically correct, if you like, answer to offer up, and being a comic book guy, as he said, I think he knows his stuff.
Yeah, when I saw this piece, my first thought was, you know, given the success of the recent Spider-Man animated film Into the Spider-Verse, where they pulled different versions of Spider-Man from different universes, including Miles Morales, why not do a Grant Morrison-esque Superman movie, basically, where you have a inter-universal threat so vast that it requires all of these Supermen to get together to take care of it. And That way you can have Michael B. Jordan as Calvin Ellis. I've been pretty on record that I do not. It's not that I don't support the idea of an African American actor or an Asian actor or an Indian actor or whatever stepping into the role. I used to be like, nah, I don't want to see that because it's not my Superman. But I've got to get a little more enlightened in this day and age. But my main problem with it from being on a point of acceptance is then you have to deal with what that person went through growing up, because a young black kid living in the middle America in a rural area is going to have a different upbringing than a white kid. And yes, Superman's an alien, so he always feels like he doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
But he's a white alien, so you have to at least acknowledge that.
Sure.
So the idea of having, the Superman from China and Calvin Ellis and all of these characters all together in an animated or a CGI or a live-action film might be really exciting, because then you can establish Calvin Ellis as a character. You can bring Icon in from the Milestone universe, because even though he's not Superman, he is a Superman-like character.
Sure.
So, and then you can then explore the idea of having that you can have different versions of the same character running around. I like Michael B. Jordan. I think he is an amazing actor. I thought he nearly stole Black Panther away from Chadwick Boseman, which is an amazing feat because Chadwick Boseman was great in that movie. But he has an intensity about him that would be interesting to see him apply that to being not only a Superman, but a president on the other Earth. So I really liked it. I thought I thought Oprah hit back appropriately, but his, the fact that he was dropping comic knowledge bombs was even better. Yeah,
100%. So my measure of him just kind of went up a little bit in the fact that he was dropping all those references and how well he answered the question. So it's good to see him respond to that, and the whole discussion about what nationality or skin color or whatever Superman should be as far as being in a live action film is a discussion for another day. But I'm all for diversity and everything like that, but personally, Superman brought up in Kansas, as you said, in Smallville. There's an element to that story, as you mentioned, about fitting in, and that it would create a whole different scenario as far as how did the Kents get this baby, and he couldn't be a sister, or anyway.
Child of my cousin from North Dakota and just now orphaned.
That's the line. So it would be interesting to go down that road, but I think because of the fact that Man of Steel and those Zack Snyder films, for many people, stepped away from the comic book canon too far, maybe for some, I think this would be another step even further that would maybe be too hard to swallow. So I guess it's there is an interesting debate there, but I'm glad to see that Michael B. Jordan answered it the way he did. I was really impressed by his answer.
In the chat, Tina says that she thinks that Michael B. Jordan would make a cool Steel, John Henry Irons Steel. I could see that, but who I thought would really make a good Steel, but probably will never happen, even though the show has been canceled. But Mike Colton, who plays Luke Cage on the Cage series, would be an awesome John Henry Irons. I think he would fit in that role like a glove. Yeah,
there's been a lot of debate going on our Facebook group about who would play Steel, or and a lot of actors' names being thrown up. But I guess with the Reign of the Superman animated movie having recently been released, there's a lot of discussion about those characters going around. Another movie that's getting a lot of discussion again, with its 40th anniversary not having been too far gone, is Superman the movie. And thanks to La La Land Records, a 40th anniversary remastered limited edition 3 CD set of the John Williams score is being released. This is they've recently discovered the score's original 2-inch 24-track music masters, and now they've been transferred by Warner Sound into a stellar high-resolution transfer, which is being released on these three CDs in a set, and there's a lot of excitement about it.
Well, yeah, and not just because it's yet another release of probably one of the most iconic, let's just forget superhero scores, one of the most iconic movie scores of all time. I don't think there has ever been a theme so closely associated with a character that the Superman theme. I joked the day it was announced and the day it went on sale. It's like, I may have bought this. I bought this because I ordered it that day. And the selling point to me wasn't that it was just another release, because unlike the other media, I don't always, it's not necessary now to get another release of this score because Film Score Monthly did such a great job with it, like 11 years ago. But the fact that it's been completely remastered, the fact that there's additional material that wasn't on the previous releases, and I think it's really cool that the third disc is just a remastered version of the '78 soundtrack release. I think that's a nice little, time capsule basically to kind of show you how good we have it now. That this was the double LP back in 1978, 1979. And now it fits on this disc, but on the other two discs you have so much more. So La La Land has been really good about releasing Superman music that has always needed to be released. We got the really good Superman Returns score a couple years ago, the Superman the Animated. They've done Superman 2, 3, and 4, and now Superman the Movie. I don't know where they can go from here with Superman stuff. Maybe clean up all of the Adventures of Superman music that they released on an album, 13, 14 years ago? But no, this was very welcome, and I'm glad that they did it, and I can't wait to get my copy.
Now, this is limited to 5,000 units, so it will sell out. I know that there was a lot of interest when it was first released. Like I said, even you yourself went out and bought it the first day, and it's comes with a 44-page booklet with in-depth liner notes. There's heroic art design by Jim Titus, and it's just something that you have to have in your collection if you're a fan of these films, because getting a remastered release from the original 24-track music masters is just it's one of those kind of things where you go, wow, how lucky are we that they still exist, that they were able to get the transfer from it.
Yeah, they needed to, because that stuff deteriorates over time. And the more amazing thing is when you track the release of the Superman score, you had the original 2 LP that was then released on a double-sized cassette and then a CD, but the music itself for a very long time was lost.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was 1998, I believe, that they basically cobbled together the original score music, the sheet music, and had the Scottish Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, I hope I'm getting that right, Very Saraband, released a re-recording of it. And for the longest time, that was it. And then the Rhino soundtrack came out, and the really cool thing about that is it had Luther's Luau on it. I remember that being like the big thing. And then the Film Score Monthly, and it's like, where can you go from here? You go for going from the original 24-track masters and making it sound amazing with all the sound technology we have today.
Exactly. So get out there, lalalandrecords.com if you want to order it. Be quick. I can't wait to get my copy. Looking forward to seeing it arrive. Now, let's move on to the TV side of things, and the latest episode of Supergirl aired on Sunday night, titled Menagerie. Your review has just gone up on the website as of the last hour or so, and you gave it what? It was a 3 out of 5?
I gave it a
middle
3.
of the road?
It was very middle of the road. It felt like a typical episode of Smallville from like the first or second season, with the setup of the villain and everything. There were good points about it. It was nice to see Ben Lockwood come back in. Mm-hmm. The twist of him getting released from prison, the whole thing with, his son becoming more part of the organization and like kind of falling to the dark side. Was great, but between a very boring villain, and I realize that they're setting her up for something later.
Yeah.
But between a kind of a really boring villain and this mind wipe subplot that I have just completely lost patience with, it was kind of a little rough going through.
Yeah, I agree. There were, the Lockwood stuff is always good. Sam Witwer just kind of carries every scene that he's in, and I wasn't so much believing that his son could step up to the mark so quickly, especially the fact that he's there at the main computer, if you like, receiving the calls from the guys in the on the streets, as if he's the big leader, and that they suddenly are trusting him to run the show. But nevertheless, Menagerie herself, as you say, was a bit of a boring villain. The special effects were kind of hit and miss, but I saw a comment today on Twitter where it's just like they're just juggling too many cast members. There's just too many things going on, too many threads and plots to kind of juggle, if you like. Too many plates to spin. You've got Supergirl, her own story, which is the one we're really trying to watch the show for. You've got Kara dealing with her stuff going on with her and Alex, now that Alex has had a mind wipe. You've got John going on doing his PI stuff. You've got the stuff happening with Dreamer or Nia Null, and just her powers, and then also her relationship or non-relationship with Brainy. You've got Brainy's stuff going on there. You've got Haley? Was she a
Colonel Haley from the DEO?
Yeah. So
you've got the thing with Lena and James.
Yep.
Which literally went from I want you to be with me to be my conscience to I'm not really feeling what you're doing right now. Get out of the car. I mean, it's just like that kind of turned back on a dime. So it's
quickly.
I think because they're juggling so much. And it's ambitious. I'm not saying they're wrong for doing this, but when you have so many balls in the air, things can kind of get lost, and then you have moments where something is one way one episode and then different, like a complete 180 the very next. So it was great seeing Nia in her costume. And as much as they made it a big deal in the, like the 30-second teaser, her actually, like, becoming a hero was not the big dramatic moment I thought it should be.
Mm.
So I'm glad she's there. I'm glad she knows how to fight, apparently. That wasn't mentioned before, but whatever. She's probably had to throw some bows in her past, considering, who she is and all that, but it's we still have another subplot that wasn't even dealt with in this Russian Supergirl. So it's just like, what is? I'm hoping, Supergirl has been renewed for the 5th season, which I'm ecstatic about because now we can actually say Supergirl season 5, which is just amazing. I don't think anybody expected it back in 2014 or 2015, 2016 when it came on that it would, never thought it would go the distance. but I just think that maybe, hopefully, I don't know how the rest of the season's going to go. I'm interested, but I'm hoping that next season we can have a more focused storyline that better involves the cast instead of having so many different subplots. This is basically it's not like romantic sappy CW soap opera, but it's more like the old time like Dallas or Dynasty where you have all these different subplots going on.
John in the comments asks about Colonel Haley's daughter. That was kind of like a thing that they just dropped there that I'm guessing they'll pick up in a couple of episodes about her having a daughter. It was kind of a throwaway line, but I'm guessing it's somehow important.
I'm sure. I'm any day now we're going to get the notice of who's been cast as her daughter. I mean, we still got James's family coming in a couple of episodes. It's just like...
And Lex Luthor.
And Lex Luthor. It's just like, okay, guys, I appreciate what you're doing here, but maybe you need to calm down just a little bit.
Now, talking about calming down, we just had a couple of weeks break for a new Supergirl episode to air on Sunday, and now we've got another week off with a repeat episode this Sunday, with the 13th episode not airing until March 3rd? Sunday, March 3rd. So I'm not sure what's going on there with the scheduling and why we're having these couple of weeks off in between episodes of late.
I'm of the opinion that they're probably pacing these out so that when they get to the end of the season, they can just show a bunch in a row instead of having too much of a break. Because it seems like it's always they go through all their episodes after coming back from the mid-season, and then in like April there's nothing, and then in May you get like 4 episodes in a row. What I'm kind of hoping is what they're doing now is spacing it out now so that when we get to the end of the season, you don't have weeks where there's nothing going on.
And John in the comments reminds us that there's another plot thread that we didn't pick up on, and that was Colonel Haley and Lena now, having that government contract for her superhuman abilities thing.
Yeah, it's just it's exhausting. This has been the most exhausting season of the show.
Well, upcoming, as I mentioned, is the March 3rd next episode 13 of Season 4. And I want to get your take on the fact that it's called What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way?
If you're going to introduce Manchester Black, this is the story you eventually have to tell, because that was the big introduction of Manchester Black. I have mixed feelings about that story.
Mm-hmm.
It is often cited as one of the best Superman stories ever written, but it's weird because the characters that Manchester Black and the Hat and Menagerie and Cold cast, man, I really wish I could make money being able to rattle that off the top of my head, but they don't pay for that. Having them show up, and they were basically at the time kind of a commentary on characters from books like Planetary and The Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't have that. So the kind of gimmick behind them doesn't exist as much as it should. But the premise of that issue is kind of exploring why Superman is still needed in the 21st century. And you have that ending speech where he goes, "Dreams save us." And how he is always going to fight for that. So, on that level, it's an amazing issue. Transposing it to Supergirl, they've already done that. They did that with the for the man who has everything type of story back in season 1. So it's not out of the question. And it could end up being like a really well-written, well-acted, amazing episode. I just wish that they would stop doing all of these great Superman stories with Supergirl and actually do them with Superman.
Yes.
Which, I'm not saying that Supergirl is less than Superman. I love the character. But I'm just saying, let's have her tell her stories, and not always get basically her doing warmed over versions of Superman stories.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? For the longest time, people have been saying Supergirl is just a female imitation of Superman, and so they've tried for the longest time to differentiate and give her own stories, make her own character. But yet all they're doing here on the Supergirl TV show is stealing from the Superman comic book stories and making a Supergirl version of that, which is exactly the kind of thing that Supergirl is trying to break away from for the longest time, that she's not just a female replica of Superman, that she's her own character. So I kind of think they're doing the character a disservice by simply making female versions of Superman stories, which, is... I mean, they're great stories, and yes, we would love to see Superman versions of them because they are Superman stories. But I just think that it's, kind of doing a disservice to both characters because, it is a Superman story that you're adapting for the Supergirl TV series, where Supergirl has her own stories that you could tell and adapt from her own comic book history. So, I have mixed emotions on this being the next episode. We do have a description for it, and it says, Manchester Black breaks out of prison with the help of his new team, the Elite, who are set on punishing the anti-alien forces. Supergirl pulls double duty as she tries to apprehend Manchester Black and his team, as well as deal with a shocking new development with Ben Lockwood. So that's the plot description.
Yeah, and, if this is going to be a discussion on Manchester Black's methods compared to Supergirl's, then that will make it worth it. If it's just kind of glosses over that and we get more of the, well, you have your team, but I have my super friends, I mean, it's a cute line, but it feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I've really liked Manchester Black on this show. It is the first time in my life that I have ever said the words, I like Manchester Black anything. So they did a really good job of setting him up. So that's another reason why I kind of am not like, oh, this is going to be a train wreck, because he has been established. So if this is a clash of ideologies, then it fits into what the show has been trying to talk about this entire season.
Yeah. And Tina asks, have we seen the Hat yet? No, we haven't. We know that he's been cast and he will appear, but we haven't seen the actual character or the person who plays him in Supergirl as yet. But you mentioned the trailer and that line that Kara delivers, or Supergirl delivers. Here is that trailer right now for the upcoming What's So Funny About Truth, Justice and the American Way episode of Supergirl.
Supergirl's done. This is the era of the Elite.
The Elite are going to attack. Innocent people will die. You have the Elite. I have Super Friends.
Supergirl, all new, Sunday, March 3rd on the CW.
So there you have it. That was the promo for that episode, and we do see the Hat there in that particular promo, and he does seem to have some super abilities.
Yes, he can pull things out of his hat.
Well, he vanished as well. Yeah, teleport.
Yeah, he can teleport and stuff like that. So, I've been very positive about this season so far, so I don't want it to seem like I'm the guy that is suddenly trying to, backpedal and say, "Oh, this is terrible. This isn't going to be any good." But at the same time, it's getting into kind of a weird period where maybe the forward momentum they had when they were focusing so much on the Sons of, the Children of Liberty and Ben Lockwood and all that, where now we have too many plots, is going to kind of end up damaging the season as a whole.
Yeah. So the next new season of Supergirl, as I said, is the 13th of season 4, and it'll air on Sunday, March 3rd at 8 p.m. Check your local guides. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and on the flip side, we're going to talk about a new DC Superhero Girls animated movie that's coming to Cartoon Network. We're going to be talking comic books and so much more. So stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel. Steel, and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst villains on Earth are the most powerful heroes ever in the battle of the Superpowers collection. Can it be the Supermobile on the attack, the Lexor 7 armed with kryptonite? Will the Supermobile repel those deadly rays?
You bet. Ready for battle. Activate RAM.
New from Kenner's Superpowers collection. Vehicles and figures with power action, each sold separately. Flying lessons for Penguin, fish bait for Luther. Can the Supermobile defeat the Lexor 7? You decide.
Did you have any of those Kenner toys? As he reaches into the wall of weird.
Yes, I when I was a kid, Christmas '85, I got a boatload of Superpowers figures. I had the Batmobile, I had the Hall of Justice, I had the Supermobile. As I grew older, those disappeared, and I've managed to rebuy a bunch of them. So they are my favorite toys of those characters because they were just so well done.
Brad's asking, why did Superman need a plane?
Oh, well, sometimes he had to go into space, and there was a red sun or kryptonite, and it protected him.
There you go. Very quick answer.
Also, Corgi wanted to make a toy.
Yes. All right. Well, as I said before the break, Cartoon Network have announced that there is a new DC Superhero Girls animated movie, 1-hour film, airing on their network on March 8th, Friday, March 8th at 6 p.m. Across all Cartoon Network platforms, including the Cartoon Network app and on demand. And this is the newly configured, newly adapted DC Superhero Girls line, with brought to you by the award-winning Emmy award-winning producer Lauren Faust. And here is the trailer for the upcoming animated movie, as I said, which will air on Cartoon Network. Check it out. Here it is.
Now that we're together, gonna get that super life!
As has become all too clear in recent months, despite having the likes of Superman looking out for her citizens, Metropolis is still in need of further super help.
All right, but you asked for it.
Come, girls, let the hunt begin.
The soul of a warrior, speed of a tiger, and tough as stone. Wolf pack will leave you, and you'll never fight alone. I've got my girls, and they got me. There's no way you can defeat us. I'm ready to rise.
Word that spell wrong. What is happening?
Let's do this. Be the change in the world that you would wanna see. I'll do what it takes to make my mark on history. I got vision, I got my crew, and there's nothing we can do.
So there you have it. It's a long trailer, but
Yes.
I just cut it short there. If you want to see the full thing, go to our website. You can check it out in full. But this is, as I said, a new animated movie that'll air on Cartoon Network, and then new episodes will come on the back of that, starting on Sundays, beginning 17th of March at 4 p.m. So a new design of the characters for the DC Superhero Girls line. And there's been a lot of discussion about why they needed the new design, and some discussions about Supergirl's design in particular. But it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, I think they're leaning more into the Teen Titans Go aesthetic. It's like the producer, if I'm correct, was behind the revamp of My Little Pony with the Friendship is Magic series, and a lot of the same voices are carried over into this. So Supergirl is very much like, I don't know the name of the pony because my wife watched that show, and I watched it with her, but I really couldn't tell you who was who. But it seems to be a little more actiony. I guess is the way to say it. It's not that like the DC Superhero Girls thing from before wasn't, didn't have action in it, but it seemed like the original concept was get your cape on and just, revel in the girl power, and this is more that, but more, punching people in the face. I'm not entirely sold on this Supergirl.
Okay.
I get where they're coming from with her, kind of making her more I don't want to say like a tomboy or something like that, because that seems like kind of an insulting term. But it seems like she's the roughhousing one.
Thug life.
And that's just never been Kara to me.
No.
But, it might work for people. I don't know. Teen Titans Go, I thought would be terrible, and it ends up being a lot of fun a lot of the time. So...
Venkman in the comments says, whenever I tried watching Teen Titans Go, I always felt a little dumber for having watched it.
The thing about that show is it's basically made for two audiences. It's made for kids of today and their parents.
Yeah.
It's like if you grew up watching stuff in the 80s and early 90s, but especially the 80s, this is the show for you, because you can sit there and laugh at, Cyborg constantly referencing Small Wonder, or The Greatest American Hero, or The A-Team. But for kids, it's just like, look, Cyborg shooting meatballs at everybody. So it's got a brain to it, but there is a lot of times where it is very, very silly humor.
Yeah. So that is the DC Superhero Girls animated movie coming to Cartoon Network. All right, well, let's change channels to give a TV reference and go to the comic book side of things. And Superman number 8 came out this past week, and I know you haven't read it, Michael, as yet. It's on your to-do list, but it was part 2 of the House of L story. And our reviewer, Adam DeChannel, on our website, really didn't like this. He gave it a 1 out of 5, saying the ideas are clearly there, but the execution is frankly diabolical. And I've heard a lot of people. I've enjoyed Bendis' run on both Action Comics and Superman of late. I haven't disliked it, but there's a lot of people going, I'm checking out of these books until Bendis leaves. Tell me when he's gone and I'll come back. It's just like, I don't understand I understand some of the stories might not be where that not to your liking, but I don't understand the idea of boycotting just because a particular writer is on board the titles.
I think to a certain extent, some of the people are coming with Superman specifically, not with Action Comics, but with Superman, they're coming from the perspective of why would Clark and Lois let Jor-El go off with John in the first place, considering everything that happened during the Jurgens run, and I think that's a fair criticism and it's a fair question. I think that you're always going to have people that don't like a certain creator and don't want to be on the ride while he's the one driving the bus, essentially. I think Superman and Action have continued to be both amazing reads month after month. We're going into like our 3rd straight year of having Superman stories that I've enjoyed. Like we're going to get to the solicits in a minute. I look at the solicits, I go, wow, that looks cool. Wow, that looks cool. And not, wow, I hope that's not as much of a train wreck as I think it's going to be. So the thing about Bendis writing Superman, though, is that he's giving you 2 options.
Yeah.
Do you want a more action-oriented, fun, kind of all-out space adventure and giant Darkseid-like character and Superman punching somebody in the face and yelling for Kandor? Or do you want the more Clark Kent, Lois Lane side of things and, you know, a secret organization that is threatening all of the government agencies of the DC universe? Will go over to action. But to boycott, you know, like Superman until it's over, I mean, that's your choice, but I just don't get it either.
Yeah. So I think the kind of backlash, if you like, over this storyline is the aging of John Kent and to a teenager, and the story of him being off in space with Jor-El and some of the Green Lanterns coming across him and not helping him when he kind of needed to be, you know, almost kind of indicated that he wanted to go back home. There's some backlash towards that element of the story, but I quite enjoyed it, and I'll see where things go. And actually, there's a story about to be published on our website in the next 45 minutes or so from Bendis, discussing the fact that there are now 2 teenage Superboys flying around the DC universe, John Kent being one and Connor Kent being the other, and his plans for them to meet and for there to be a name change and some costume design changes to differentiate between the two of them. So I'll let you check out that story when it's published on the Superman homepage. First thing Eastern Standard Time, midnight tonight.
So we are setting up for the fight that will be the people that love John Kent and want him to continue being Superboy, and those that love Connor Kent and want him to be Superboy, and them battling it out on Twitter. And do you battle things out on Instagram? I've just gotten on Instagram, so I really don't understand how it works. Can you actually like fight with people on Instagram?
Hey, it's social media. You can fight with anybody anywhere.
Oh, okay. I guess maybe I just don't understand the mechanics of it as much as I should. So, but no, it seems like, you know, we've complained for years that the Bat family has grown and grown and grown, and the Superman family seems to be shrinking. You know, I really think the time is ripe for, you know, a couple different younger heroes, like John and Connor and Supergirl, and let's bring back Steel, and, you know, get the family kind of going again, so that when Bendis gets through the storylines he's getting through, we can have a more cohesive Superman family.
Yeah. Now, as far as the comic books coming out this week are concerned, before we get on to the solicitations for books coming out in May, there's only really Justice League number 18 out this week that involves Superman. There's the cover to it there, Brainiac's Revenge. So there is Lex and Brainiac involved as well. So it has a Superman feel to it. That is the variant cover there for Justice League number 18. Also out this week is the DC Universe by Len Wein hardcover, or Len Wein, I'm not sure how you pronounce his surname, collecting 23 of his greatest stories. And then there's also Elseworlds, Justice League Elseworlds Volume 3, and you've got Mxyzptlk and Batmite on the cover there. So Batmite, Mr. Mxyzptlk, destroy the multiverse.
It is pronounced Ween for those who are interested in that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the comic books coming out this week if you're a comic book reader on a weekly basis. February 20th, those books will be out. Now you'll notice that there's no Doomsday Clock number 9. Yes, that book has been delayed once again. This is getting ridiculous. This was a 12-issue limited series that started back in November 2017. It was supposed to be monthly. That means it would be finished by November 2018. But no, they decided we won't go monthly. We'll go twice monthly to give the chance this book to come out. And number 9 was supposed to come out originally on January 23rd. Missed that date. It was resolicited for February 20th. Nope, missed that date. Now it's coming out March 6th, we think. What's going on?
It's really interesting that after a couple of years of really trying to be not so much somebody that's just like, I don't want to be negative, but trying to be a more positive voice in fandom, that things are starting to kind of bug me again, and not bug me on the level they did 10 years ago, but it's just, Doomsday Clock is yet another example of the fact that at the end of the day, and it's been this way forever, Watchmen was late, Dark Knight Returns was late, so it's not like this is the first time something like this has happened. But here's the difference between Watchmen, Dark Knight, and Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock was supposed to be something teased all the way at the beginning of Rebirth, and it was going to be the explanation of why things went the way they did. And when you keep delaying that, the people that have been... it becomes completely irrelevant, and then does it even work as its own Gestalt trade paperback collected edition down the road? Because it's tied into a larger concept. I mean, you could always do like the Doomsday Clock omnibus, where you have, the Rebirth special and the 4-part story that crossed between Flash and Batman, and the Oz Effect, and A Lonely Place of Living, and have that all together into one giant book. But the solicitations have issue 11. I have no faith that is going to come out on May 22nd at all. I just don't. I mean, it bugs me that this is continuing to happen.
Exactly. It's supposed to, as you say, supposed to be something that was set in the future, and then the comic books would catch up to it. And at this point, it's going to catch up to all the comic books that it was supposed to be leading into. But it's been a commercial success for DC Comics. Whether or not this delay will continue to hamper the sales, I'm not sure. But it's becoming ridiculous, and it really is one of those things where I don't know who to blame. I mean, Jeff Johns is writing it, Gary Frank is drawing it. I guess this is, Gary Frank has carried a monthly book before, so it's not that he's too slow. I don't know what the delay is. I don't understand it. There's no explanation. Obviously, they're not going to tell us or start pointing the finger and blaming somebody for it, but it's supposed to be 12 issues.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be 12 issues if you want to read it. I mean, because like I said 2 years ago, you had the whole DC Metal thing playing out, which has spun into different things. But if you didn't want to read DC Metal, you didn't have to read DC Metal.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't hurt.
And so you really don't have to read Doomsday Clock either. But I am. I chose that horse, and my horse keeps getting lost. And has to find its way back on the road. And here's the thing. Somebody, because I complained about this on Facebook, because of course I did, and someone's just like, well, what do you want? And it was a serious question. They weren't being snarky. But they were like, do you want, fill-ins, or do you want it to be with the original creative team? And my response to that is, that's not my decision to make. Fans should not be the arbiters of when, what a comic book company should do. This is a professional comic book company that has been around for 8 decades at this point under different management, but, the same people have been running it for almost 20 years now. So why can't you get your stuff together? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. If this was, like an independent company and these people were kind of doing it as their side job, I almost understand it, but this is DC Comics.
Yeah, and
this is Jeff Johns.
They're publishing books twice monthly. There are certain, like Justice League is coming out twice a month.
Exactly. And it's just like, so why can't you get this together? And here's the thing. I don't really want to know the reason, because every time something like this happens and they're like, well, that person was really, really sick, and then you feel bad because you were like, well, why was I even complaining in the first place?
Yeah.
But what was it? Oh my God, that was 12 years ago at this point. When in 2007, when the Superman books were later and later and later, and there was that 1 month where there wasn't a single issue of either Superman or Action out, and then you had Matt Idelson, who was the editor of the Superman books at the time, and the DC Nation page going, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm just like, do your job is what I want you to do about it. And I hate to be so angry about it, but again, we're not dealing with amateurs. We're dealing with a company, as you said, can for a year put out multiple titles twice monthly?
Doesn't make sense. But anyway, you mentioned the solicitations for books supposedly coming out in May. And there are some big revelations in this. We've got this, Tom Taylor's been teasing this Deceased book that's coming out. I'm not sure how heavily involved Superman will be in that. But there's Dog Days of Superman, which will have Crypto, Batcow, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Ferdinand and others, which it looks like an interesting one. There's obviously this whole Leviathan Rising special, which is going to be a huge thing, obviously, in the upcoming months by Bendis. That will branch out into, and here's the big news story of the week, a Lois Lane comic book written by Greg Rucka and art by Mike Perkins, and a Jimmy Olsen book written by Matt Fraction with art by Steve Lieber.
I am just so excited. One, it's amazing that in 2019, Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane are going to have their own books again. And with that, with those creative teams, I mean, Greg Rucka, his love of Lois Lane has never been a secret. I remember when they were doing the whole New Krypton story, and he was brought back onto the Superman books. It was almost like this kind of like angry, no one's going to touch Lois but me, basically. And he really understands the character. Matt Fraction, who I had thought swore off the big two and was just doing his creator-owned stuff, is going to be doing a Jimmy Olsen book. And, I think it would... We've seen Clark Kent return to form over the last, year or so. Lois Lane has been back, but now it's really neat that these characters that, especially Jimmy Olsen, who was bounced all over the place during the New 52, is going to kind of carry his own book. And I don't know if it's going to succeed, but man, I'm going to be picking them up and getting it. And I love that they're launching it in a special like this.
Yeah. So check out the full DC solicitations of Superman titles, Superman-related titles, at our website. They're up on the web. They went up on the website today. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. It's been a jam-packed one, and we will continue. It's been a success here on YouTube. We've had, probably more live watchers than we have on Facebook, so that's been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Great to see that all the regulars who were on the Facebook Live videos have come across to the YouTube one and have been able to join us, as well as some new people, new names that we haven't seen before. So looking forward to having them continue to join us as we continue to do this show via YouTube on a weekly basis. Same time, same station, everything like that, but through YouTube. But before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. I'd like to thank all those in the comments section who watched the show live with us. And a big thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, and we do need your support, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3. Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, February 26th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com. We hope you will join us then. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out SupermanHomepage.com for all your daily news updates about everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com.